Welcome to Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And today we are expanding our Team Talks, Tyler. We're going into Team Talks 2.0. We will be talking about the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and the New Orleans Saints. Special thanks to friends of the pod, Tyler Renfroe and Storm Tracy, who have come on. We will get to that later, though. Of course, Tyler, we begin, as always, with our quick hits. And we're going to begin the quickest of the hits. And we're going to begin with Mike Leach kind of tweeting some stuff that he most certainly should not have tweeted, especially in the South.
Yeah, how do we put this? Mike Leach tweeted a joke of it's a meme of a woman during knitting her husband something in current quarantine, and it was a woman knitting a noose. But it was like an actually historical picture.
Exactly. It wasn't like a meme of like someone created the meme on MS Paint and created this thing. Where listen, we understand Mike Leach's, you know, a lot of people in close quarters driving people crazy. But Mike Leach, you are the head coach of the Mississippi State Bulldogs in the deepest of the South, like the deepest point of the deep South.
In the state of Mississippi.
You just got to be more culturally aware of your surroundings.
Mike Leach, just never tweet.
Just don't do it.
Just don't tweet. Like
you know what we should have done?
You can never get in trouble on Twitter if you never tweet. I live by this code.
That is not an opinion. That is a fact.
It's a fact. You're gonna look at me and tell me I'm wrong?
I can't, Tyler, because what you're giving me is bona fide factual information. Listen, we knew Mike Leach was a very, how do we put it? We have praised his Twitter account on this podcast before. Let's not shy away from that.
No.
But this is definitely not something that we want to see. Like, you got to be more aware of the situation. You got to be more aware of who your new football family is. I mean, as a result of this stuff, defensive lineman Fabian Lovett entered the transfer portal.
Yeah.
And his father told the Clarion Ledger, the newspaper in Mississippi, saying that he didn't feel comfortable with his son playing for Leach because, quote, with a guy like that from a leadership standpoint, end quote. Like, you can't do that. You can't be and take away all of the football aspects of this. You just can't do this.
Yeah.
You know? It's just... It's insensitive and it's very deaf as to where you are in the situation.
Yeah, and I'm not asking when I joke about the never tweet thing. I don't think we're asking Mike Leach to stop making jokes.
Mm-hmm.
But you gotta know things. You gotta you're touching on subjects that are extremely sensitive, especially in the area that you are in. And
exactly.
So you just got. I mean, Mississippi State is going to be putting Mike Leach in through a. Quote, listening sessions.
Take that as you will.
So, we're going to see how that goes.
These listening sessions, and I'd like to add that this ESPN article that we got the information from is saying that he will participate in taking guided visits to the Museum of Mississippi History and the Mississippi Civil Rights Museum once they're allowed to do so post-quarantine. And I think this is just something that he should have been doing even if he didn't get himself in trouble with tweeting some stupid stuff, you know? Like, that's just something where if I'm moving to a new part of the country and I'm going to be the coach with college football being so powerful in the South, like, you got to at least have an awareness of what these people are like, you know, the history behind the state that you're in. You got to do your homework in that sense. So I'm glad that he's going through, quote, listening sessions with students and alumni and community groups and is going on these visits. But I feel like these listening sessions are much like self-imposed sanctions that SEC schools do to each other. So...
Oh, look at this slap on the wrist I'm giving myself.
Look at that. So let's just hope that he actually learns from this and we move forward from this in a positive way. And he learns, you know, because people do make mistakes in life, and I'm a great believer of people can change, and only so long as they want to change. So I hope that this happens and we get to that part there. Moving on from that, with another coach that's just wilding out in the middle of the country, one and only Mike Gundy. Oklahoma State head coach, the second most famous person in Oklahoma with a mullet these days.
Oh boy!
Because I did finish Tiger King, And we will talk about that at the end of the pod. Please stick around. Mike Gundy ended up...
I think Mike Gundy, the whole reason for this is that he's just upset that he's not the most popular person in the state anymore with a mullet.
Mike Gundy's like, this mullet is genuine grade A, ladies and gentlemen. Let's pay more attention. And how am I going to do that? I'm going to do that by letting everyone know that my goal is to return to full football operations by May 1st. Sir, that is 3 weeks from today.
That's not happening.
That's just not happening. He quote said, it might get backed up 2 weeks. I don't know. I can't make that call. But if it does, we'll start with the employees of this company. Pause, quote. I find it incredible that Mike Gundy refers to his collegiate athletic football program as a company. Take with that as you will. Continuing quote. The ones that come in this building, then we'll bring the players in, and slowly but surely we'll test them all in. Mike Gundy, just shut up.
So, I'm not going to sit here and act like I expected... Okay, when any coach has been saying stuff about this whole COVID-19 situation, I'm always like, yeah, okay, whatever. Like, you're not a doctor.
No.
I mean, I know people that have said the same things. They just don't have a public forum and represent companies. So, I mean, it is... I've stated to you and others that I'm like, if we have people believing this man, then we got a real problem.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I'm like, Mike Gundy is only paid to care about football. I'm not trying to stand paid for. Like, I'm just explaining why Mike Gundy thinks this way. Also, I highly 100% believe he is hopped up on rattlesnake venom right now.
You think so? You think he got like an extra supply?
I think he breeds rattlesnakes so that he can release them and hunt them down. Like, and
we've been watching too much Netflix, Tyler. We've just stop what you're doing. We've been watching way too much Netflix.
What are you talking about?
I just want to point out that Mike Gundy, in this interview that he gave, refers to the coronavirus as the flu. So just take with that as you will. He says, quote, we get people that get the flu.
Everything you need to know about this.
Just, that's it. That's all you need to say. My favorite part is Oklahoma State being like, nah, this ain't it, Chief. This is definitely not something that we're having. Athletic Director Mike Holder says, quote, May 1st seems a little ambitious. Which sounds like when you tell your parents, like, I have these goals in life, and your parents are like, that's not going to happen. They go, I'm glad that you're reaching for the stars. Yeah, it's one of those sympathy things. So, Mike Gundy. Yeah, don't do that. Distance yourself. Quarantine and distance yourself like the rest of us, please. Good Lord. All right, we got 3 more things on this quick hits, but I'm kind of going to combine them into one. They are COVID-19 related. They are related to the beginning and how we could possibly play college football this season. So 3 things. The Big 12 commissioner says that he's concerned about a full college football season in 2020. Notre Dame athletic director and North Carolina Chapel Hill coach Mac Brown are both opposed to playing the season without fans. And Dabo Swinney today on Get Up said that it's more unlikely than likely that they'll play without fans, but he also adds on that anything is possible. So there is that being flown up in the air. And then to wrap it up, the Texas A&M chancellor says that, and this to me is the most interesting of the 3 here. He says that the full college football season is possible, even if they start in October, which, may I remind you, is 5 weeks after the designated start of the season right now. So how do you think that that's possible, Tyler? I mean, the Big 12 commissioner being concerned, that article is all about revenue loss and how football money impacts all the other sports, which we knew about. College football without fans is definitely a possibility. We don't know how that would work.
UCLA's been doing it for 2 years, so, I mean, like, it's fine.
Woo! Pow! Shots fired.
From the top rope.
From the ladder, from the top of the ladder, Tyler. This is a ladder match. You just foregoed the belt hanging from the roof, and you just decided to do a Jeff Hardy swanton bomb onto people. Could you tell that I watched WrestleMania 2 weeks ago? Could you tell?
Yes, I could tell very vividly.
Thank you. And then the most interesting thing is the A&M chancellor saying that he believes that they can have a full schedule even with October. Do you think that's possible?
I mean, yes, but you have to. I mean, it's going to have a complete restructuring of the bowl season. It's going to maybe even a foregoing of the bowl season, which I don't know. But like everything's going to get really pushed back. We're just going to have to throw dates out the window. Like
just kind of play things by ear.
Yeah, I mean, like a 13-game schedule is certainly possible. My only concern is that like that includes you have to put everything in a bye week. You have all these other things, like not even other sports. I don't really care about that, but just other things in life. Semesters starting and then reopening, like
right. How many students are on campus during certain things? Like you said, maybe eliminating bye weeks, and maybe even just foregoing the entire bowl season with the exception of probably the New Year's Six because those make way too much money.
Yeah, I mean the freaking this is a bad example. Sorry, no, this is a better example. The Idaho like Farmers Potato Bowl.
Yeah. You're right.
Might just cut their losses and wait for another year.
The
Instead of
newly
rescheduling.
Yeah, you're right. The newly formed Fenway Bowl that I have told you and friends of the pod, Michael Phillips, we will be in attendance at. That bowl game is supposed to debut this year, and maybe they just push it to next year. You know, it's very likely. Would you? I'm assuming I know the answer to this, but would you rather have a full? I'm assuming you would rather have a full college football schedule, regular season, than have a shortened schedule, or I'm sorry, a full college football schedule, but foregoing the bowl season, minus the New Year's Six and the playoff, compared to having a shortened schedule but still having a bowl.
I'd agree with that. I'd rather a full 12, 13 game schedule, and then, I mean, I love bowl season, but we'll forego the bowls except for the important ones,
right?
Because I think it's. The purity of college football, as much as I love the bowls, is the week to week at the 12-game season.
Yeah,
and I mean, I would much prefer that we get all of those. We get some of the non-conference games, not just conference games or things like that. And I mean, there's a lot of people that argue the bowl season is irrelevant as it is, which I mean, it's fine. Like I don't agree with that, but that's. Bowl games are extra games,
right? And
I would rather have the games that are the 12 games that you're given than the extra one.
And I think we should be prioritizing non-conference games that are already scheduled that bring teams guaranteed revenue in, like these ones scheduled in the regular season, as compared to possible extra revenue. Because there's no guarantee you make a bowl every season, unless you're Dabo Swinney at Clemson. There's no guarantee you're making a bowl every year. So there's the thing where that is always extra income. That's always extra money. There's also the excuse me. There's also the idea that let's take Florida for example. Like unless we make the playoff, which we believe we have a strong chance to this year because of the situation, but we will talk about that later in the summer when we get to the summer. But I would much rather play Florida State in my non-conference game compared to being matched up in the Citrus Bowl and playing Michigan again. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
There's certain things that just value
that matter more.
Yeah, exactly. All right. Well, those are some pretty good quick hits. A lot of Mike Leach was wildin', Mike Gundy was wildin', and college football is just still in the air, and we really hope and pray that safety comes first, obviously, but secondary, college football. So that's kind of where we are right now. What you're going to listen to now is Tyler and I's interviews with Medium Income Bucs fan Tyler Renfroe.
Yeah.
He has elevated his name. We talk about that a little bit in my interview with him. You'll listen to...
He's now in a neighborhood that's only recently been gentrified.
Exactly, yeah. Maybe he can make it to the 1% one day. We never know. We'll have to see. First up, you're going to hear my interview with friend of the pod, Medium Income Bucs fan Tyler Renfroe, talking about his Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Then after that, you will be hearing friend of the pod, Storm Tracy's interview conducted by Tyler, all about the New Orleans Saints. So without further ado, go ahead and enjoy these interviews, and we'll see you on the other side. We are now joined by friend of the pod, formerly known as Poor Bucs fan Tyler Renfroe, but I will now be referring to him as Medium Income Tyler Renfroe. Welcome to the pod, my friend. Welcome back.
We are middle class, and it is good to be here.
Middle class indeed. Of course, we are referring to the addition of one Thomas Brady at quarterback, but we will get to that in a bit. Tyler. I have Tom Brady opinions. I know you have Tom Brady opinions. We'll get there in a bit. I want to start off with the most recent piece of Bucs news. It looks like you guys got some new threads.
Ooh, these
Talk to
threads.
me. Talk to me about these uniforms, Tyler. Do you like them? Which one's your favorite, and how? Which one do you anticipate seeing most often? And which one are you buying?
Ooh, great questions all around. My, I love them. I really do. Obviously, they didn't bring back the creamsicle, so I can't give it a 10 out of 10. But I understand why they couldn't. I'm such a big fan of them bringing back the classic red look. The pirate ship is back on the shoulders.
Mm-hmm.
They brought back that little orange highlight inside the numbers.
Yeah, I saw that.
I love the classic red. I love the new color rush, all pewter.
Mm-hmm.
I cannot describe how beautiful it looks. The all white, it's okay. It's clean, but it's just an all white look.
So which one are you pulling the trigger on? Which one are you actually buying?
I would absolutely buy. Oh man, if I'm getting a Brady jersey, I'm getting the classic red. If I'm getting any other player, I'm getting the pewter.
Okay.
But
why the difference between if you're getting a Brady jersey versus another player?
So with the other players, it's kind of Brady. It's just because it's a one-time thing. I'm like, I got to see Brady in the classic Bucs jersey, and that's something I can show kids. It's like, yo, look, remember this? We won a title with Thomas Brady. He was with us for 2 years. I just love it because it's cool. But I would have to get Brady in the red just because it would just stand the test of time a little more.
And honestly, I mean, we've seen Brady in that kind of red. We've seen Brady in that kind of red before, and it doesn't look horrible. I'm not going to lie. It takes a lot for me to admit something in regards of Tom Brady and something positive, but I'm not going to lie. It doesn't look that bad for me. All right? All right, Tyler, let's go ahead and jump on into this thing. The Bucs last year, you finished 7-9, second in the division behind the runaway Saints. What did you think of last season? What were your expectations going into the season and at the end of the year before this whole Brady thing happened? How did you feel about the 2019 Tampa Bay Buccaneers season?
Going into the season, I already knew it was make or break year for Jameis, and somehow made it and broke it. So we started 2-2. We lost to the Niners. That was expected. We beat the Panthers. We lost the heartbreaker to Daniel Jones's debut as the Giants QB.
I remember that. I saw that game. Yeah.
Yeah, because that's just another kicker problem. He can make the 60-yarders, but he can't make the 30-yarders. And then the highlight of last year, he curb stomped the Rams in LA, 55-40, and Stu's fumble recovery touchdown. And then from there, it was just downhill. 4 straight losses, I think it was, to the Saints and the Panthers, and then it just was lost from there. But then we go, so we're just like, okay, we're not making the playoffs, we're trash. And then we go and we win 5 in a row. No, we win 4 in a row, 5 of 6, and all we do is just ruin our draft position.
See, that's a very Florida NFL team thing to do. I know the Dolphins have done that 1,000 times. I know the Jags have done that 500 times. So Tyler Williams and I definitely relate to you on that one. But it was interesting because it kind of was like the Bucs were so mediocre last year. Or let me say this: the result of their play was mediocre because there's players on this roster, and we will get to that in a bit because this roster has some talent on it for sure. But it came a point where the whole Jameis 30 for 30 thing took over. I mean, the Bucs became one of the most exciting teams in the league to watch simply because it was like, cool, is Jameis going to throw a pick? It wasn't a question of if Jameis was going to throw a pick. It was how many picks was Jameis going to throw? And was he going to turn around and match that number with his touchdown? So it was kind of like the 2019 Bucs were just kind of a vacuum it was like a reality show and Jameis Winston was the star. It was like the ultimate version of a season-long Hard Knocks, you know?
It was beautiful. Yeah. Every first was a thrown interception.
There were for those of you out there who allegedly gamble on sports, I would never, but allegedly, I heard rumors that there were actually lines posted over unders for time of day when Jameis would throw a pick, and it was like, will Jameis throw a pick before or after 1:17 p.m. Eastern time. And a lot of the times it was like 7 minutes after the kickoff, and it was like, boom, all right, pick number one. Who's going to cash out? And the odds were insane. It was allegedly a great thing to see. All right, well let's go ahead and push out from 2019. Let's go to 2020. What are your biggest needs in this draft? I mean, quarterback was a big question mark. I guess this is the moment we can talk about Brady. Quarterback was a big question mark. Brady ends up signing a 2-year, was it 60 million or 50 million?
I think it was 50.
50, 25 mil each year, fully guaranteed. And so he ends up signing this deal. So you have your quarterback for at least the next 2 seasons. You guys are in win now mode. Brady didn't come down there to be rebuilding.
And I love it.
Yeah.
We've never been in win any mode. For people, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers as a franchise have a winning percentage of .387, which is the lowest in all 4 major sports.
Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Heard of, or the worst.
It's pretty bad.
But yeah, so it's uncharted territory. It feels great.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously our win now and also get Brady the help he needs so that we can win now.
Right.
The biggest one is tackle.
Mm-hmm.
Surprisingly, our interior offensive line is really strong, but our tackles just are bad. We got a new right tackle.
Mm-hmm.
His name is Joe Haig, Haeg, and he's going to be like a C plus. Like if he had a Madden rating, it'd be C plus.
He'd be like a high 70.
Yeah. Like if we're gonna get someone, it would be kind of just his depth behind him.
Mm-hmm.
But where we really need it is left tackle, because Donovan Smith has been killing us as long as I can remember, probably 4 years. So if we don't go tackle with our first pick, I will be absolutely shocked, because we need to protect Brady's blind side, and that's honestly our biggest need. Other than that, we all know Brady loves a pass-catching running back. Whether it's Whitehead or Dion Lewis or all the guys he's had, James White.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones is getting there.
See, Ronald Jones kind of had an explosion last year. Not just in fantasy, but, I mean, he ended up kind of taking the reins as being running back one. And from everything that I've heard, I was listening to the Locked On Draft podcast, and they had their guest for the Bucs on a couple of days ago, and he was saying that front office is pretty convinced he's going to be running back one. So whoever they bring in, whoever you guys bring in at running back isn't going to be competing for, isn't going to be a 3-down back. They're going to come in and be kind of a change of pace, maybe function more like a pass catching running back out of the backfield for Brady if he wants to check down kind of thing. So I would keep that in mind in that sense, you know?
Yeah, no, and like I love Ronald Jones. Him and the pass defense both improved a lot towards the end of last year.
Right.
So unless we get generational, like J.K. Dobbins is there the 2nd or 3rd round. I would totally be fine with settling for a pass catcher later in the draft.
Yeah, and the great thing about running backs in this draft is that it's a pretty deep running back class, and the value of the picks this year and the value of the draft, I don't see. I mean, Tyler Williams and I have been talking about this for a while, where we really don't see, unless one team kind of reaches for a running back, which I don't think the Bucs would really reach for a running back at 14 overall. Unless a team reaches for a running back, there really won't be a run on, no pun intended, there won't be a run on running backs. So you can kind of get a good running back in the 2nd round. Because for the Dolphins have 3 picks in this 1st round, and a lot of mocks have put different running backs for that 3rd pick. And personally, I would rather just push to the 2nd round, not just because we have multiple 2nd round picks, but because of the depth in that running back class. So if you guys end up with my favorite running back in the class, a Clyde Edwards-Helaire, if you guys end up with a DeAndre Swift, we know that those players, we've seen them in the SEC. We personally know that those players can catch the ball out of the backfield and make those adjustments when they need to. So it makes perfect sense to go. So what I'm getting here is your strategy is going to be offensive tackle 1st round, running back 2nd round, and then just kind of fill in best player available, different holes where you need. I'm looking at the draft network now, and your secondary needs are wide receiver, linebacker, basically a bunch of defensive positions, safety, edge, defensive line. I want to ask you about the wide receivers, because when you look at the depth chart for the Bucs at wide receiver, you're returning 2,000-yard receivers in Mike Evans and Chris Godwin. You got O.J. Howard, and you have Cameron Brate. People are forgetting about Cameron Brate. He's a big talent. I know he hasn't produced as much lately, but O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate at tight end. You could go. I mean, you could go Aaron Hernandez Gronk kind of situation. 2000 was 2011, 2012.
2011,
2011-12 era Patriots. You can go there on top of having two stud wide receivers. Could you see the possibility of the Bucs taking one of the elite wide receivers in the first round?
I really doubt it.
Okay.
We definitely have a need for a third wide receiver because with Todd Perryman leaving, we have Scotty Miller, Justin Watson, like a bunch of, I don't want to say no names, but they're more number 4 guys.
They're not Mike Evans and Chris Godwin.
Yeah, no. I would say we need a solid number 3 wide receiver, which is a guy we could take on day 3 of the draft.
Okay, so you wouldn't really want to put the value up there at a 14 overall, or like your second round pick is the 45th overall. You don't want to put the value on those in that sense, which makes perfect sense. So what I'm getting at here is your strategy, again, offensive tackle first round, running back second round, fill in the rest of the gaps later on in that sense.
Yeah.
Do you have a dream pick? Like, who do you really want at 14? Is there a certain player you really want?
14, it's really a coin flip because there are 4 offensive tackles who are absolutely elite.
Mm-hmm. And I think we're on the same page. It's going to be Jedrick Wills, Tristan Wirfs, Mekhi Becton, and then I like Josh Jones. I know Andrew Thomas out of Georgia and Lucas Niang are ranked higher, but I really like Josh Jones. I think I'm also looking at it where who's going to be available in the later first round for me as a Fins fan. Which of these tackles do you, like your dream, wow, I can't believe this guy's still on the board at 14?
Like, my brain tells me Thomas because he's got so much talent. He's so raw.
And he's 6'5", 320. Big guy.
He's got the talent. But part of me is leaning Jedrick Wills out of Bama because he's trained by Nick Saban. Yeah. And I don't hate Bama as much as Georgia, but also, just Jedrick Wills, he seems, I don't want to say safer because these guys they're both legit talents, but it does seem a bit, and I feel like Andrew Thomas has a bit more bust potential because he keeps giving me that vibe of those guys who have so much raw talent, but they keep having that asterisk of he could develop more as a pro.
Yeah, and the thing is that we watched a lot of Georgia because we are Gator fans, and so we pay attention. They're our biggest competition in the East, so we try to keep tabs on them. Jonathan Grenard ate him up in the Florida-Georgia game. Like, people, go back and watch the tape. Grenard was explosive off the ball, got past them multiple times. Andrew Thomas is a good player and is a good prospect. I think he would have been probably the first tackle off the board next year if he would have declared, if he would have come back for his senior season. The player I really think you guys should kind of target, and the guy that I personally as a Dolphin fan really want is Mekhi Becton. He's not going to be there at 18 or 26 for us, so we would have to take him with 5 or put a package to trade up. But if you can get Mekhi Becton out of Louisville, 6'7", 369, he not only has the size, but he moves. His feet are super light. He moves off the ball. His explosiveness and those first 2 steps, they say all the time on the defensive and offensive line. If you mess up those first 2 steps, it's over. You have to get those first 2 steps right. And he does the step and slide shift over really quickly, and I really like him in that sense. So we're on the same page here with tackles, which sucks because I really want them to fall.
Yeah. Well, the problem is because there's 4 elite tackles, and there's 3 teams ahead of us that need tackles. So honestly, it's a game of which one of the 4 is going to drop to us, or do we trade up to get them? I don't think we should trade up.
I don't think so.
Even if we don't get one of the 4, like you said, Josh Jones, he's a consolation.
Yeah.
If we had to go with that, but yeah, I think whichever one of those 4 drops to us, I'll be fine with them. But Jedrick Wills is the guy that I would be the happiest to get.
So Jedrick Wills would be the dream in the first round. What about the second round? What's your dream overall draft haul? Like, if there's 2 or 3 players that you can walk away with in this draft, what's your dream haul? Who do you want to see in the new pewter? I don't want to say it. Pewter. In the new pewter uniforms in the new threads that you got.
So Jedrick Wills, number 1 in our 4th pick. Number 2, there was a couple, I don't see it happening, but there was a couple simulations where I definitely want a running back second round.
Yeah.
J.K. Dobbins was available some of the time. He's a guy that he's not the pass catcher that Edwards-Helaire is.
Mm-hmm.
But if he's there, you take him because to me he's generational. Like he is.
Wow.
I would put him as my favorite back in this draft.
Wow,
Like,
you really put their stamp of approval. Wow, you used the G word. You went generational. I also saw a little John Gruden come out. You hit him with a now here's a guy who you hit us with a little Gruden there. I see the old Bucks is coming out of you. You put the red uniforms and all of a sudden it comes out.
JK, he is a guy that I don't care. I love Ronald Jones, but if JK's there, I got to take him because he's a I would love to have with us for 5 years beyond.
Yeah, and that's a guy the Dolphins are also. And not to bring it back to the Dolphins, but just because we have similar positional needs. It's tackle, running back. You guys have your quarterback now, so you don't have to worry about that. But our positional needs are relatively similar, so we're kind of looking at the same players here. And yeah, if you could get J.K. Dobbins in the second round, especially at pick 47, oof, I don't see him dropping that far down because I really think the second round is going to be a running back. It's going to go for running backs there. So, all right, give me one more player. Who else do you think?
Carlos Edwards-Helaire would be the best pass catching guy I think we could get.
I think so too.
Some people have predicted we could go for Cam Akers. We could go for DeAndre might not drop that fall, but yeah, a lot of people have predicted Cam Akers out of Florida State, which I hate the Noles, but he is what he did. Going for 1,000 yards each of the last 2 seasons behind that offensive line.
It's a testament to his talent.
I wouldn't be mad with Cam Akers.
Neither would I. Neither would I as a Fins fan. And then what about a wide receiver? You said you wanted to take a wide receiver maybe in the third day. What's your dream? If you could end up with this player, who would you like? Because it looks like those are the 3 big positions that you're really targeting. If you could end up with one of these players falling down to maybe your third round pick at 76 or maybe in the fourth round where you have 2 picks, who would you take?
So it's a toss up between, I feel like we have our big 50-50 guy in Mike Evans. He goes up, you throw the ball up to him, he's going to catch it.
Yeah.
And we have our great route runner, Chris Godwin. He's got some speed on him, but he's our route runner.
Mm-hmm.
So I really wanted to go with Van Jefferson, but we kind of have that in Chris Godwin. Oh, Van's so good. He's so raw. But what we need now is what we kind of gave up with Deshaun Jackson. We need a speed guy.
Mm-hmm. Maybe a slot receiver, something like that.
Someone who can stretch it vertically, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And something that what is his name? Scott Reynolds wrote on the Bucs website. He was saying Arizona State's wide receiver Brandon Ayuk, 6 foot 208. He runs a 4.5. He would be basically what we need. Is he doesn't have to be elite. He's just got to be that guy who can stretch the field vertically, give Chris space underneath.
Nice. Wow, that's a really smart pick. That's a really smart pick, and you're right. That combination of being 6 foot, where he's not too tall, he's not like a big target receiver in that sense, undersized in that sense. And I think if you're looking for that prototype of wide receiver, I don't think he's going to fall this low in the 3rd, 4th rounds. But maybe take a look at KJ Hamler out of Penn State. He's 5'10", he's 180, so he's pure muscle. He's a speedster. He's really fast, and so maybe keep a lookout for that. Maybe hopefully he'll kind of end up on the board. I like that. That's a nice little dream haul you got there. Tyler, what is your dream haul for your rival team? So I want you to look at your teams in the division, right? I'm going to go with the Saints because let's be realistic. The Falcons and the Panthers, I think, are kind of in their own section of the division, and then it's you guys and the Saints battling for the NFC South title. So if you could draft for the Saints, what pick would they make that would make you just be like, thank the Lord they took this person?
I'm going to be honest. I think they've already made their biggest mistake in giving up Theodore Bridgewater.
Ooh.
So, about that. I'm already happy that they let him walk, and they're like, you know what? We're going to stick it with Breeze and, whoever that guy is.
Taysom Hill.
The guy who Taysom Hill.
The world's greatest utility player. There we go, my words.
Yeah, I'm already happy. I'm already over the moon about that. But I'm going to be honest. You gave me this question, and, they just don't have that many, it's hard for me to see them messing up because I don't really see any huge weaknesses on their team.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing that would make me happy is if they shot high on a QB who's going to bust.
Okay.
Like, all right, we got to start looking QB for the future, and they pick like second or third round, and they go for one of those. Like, I know our front office, they're looking at Nate Stanley out of Iowa, that QB, but we're not looking at him till like the fifth, sixth round. I don't think.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if second, third round on a guy like him, I'd be over the moon.
So if they could take one of those players early with a more high quality draft capital, it would be great.
If they do what a lot of dumb teams do, and they're sold on some, you know, some lower level kind of quarterback, and it's like, we know this, he's our guy, we're gonna stick with it, and then they see what everyone else sees 3 years down the road, and they're like, oh, this guy is just trash.
People, and here's the thing: people are trying to find the next Brady, but there isn't going to be a next Brady. You're not going to find the greatest quarterback of all time in the sixth round again. It's just not going to happen. And with that being said, what is your preview for next season? How do you see realistically the Bucs doing next year with Brady at the helm, with Bruce calling the plays, sending that 3 wide receiver formation, Godwin and Evans going out there? How do you see this team looking out next year?
I'm going to be completely honest. I had them at 11-5,
Mm-hmm.
and then the Vikings got rid of Stephon Diggs.
Oh,
I'm thinking 12-4.
okay. So if you want to do that, then let's go ahead and play the game. Let's fire up the game, okay? I'm going to go through all 16 of your games, okay?
Yep.
And you're going to tell me each game if it's a win or a loss, and we'll see how you end up, okay?
Yep.
All right, here we go. Let's start with your road games, all right? On the road, you have the Chicago Bears, the Nick Foles-led Chicago Bears.
That puts a little bit, that scares me a little bit more than Trubisky-led Bears.
Mm-hmm.
I still consider that a dub.
Awesome, 1-0. On the road, Detroit Lions.
Oh, dub.
2-0. On the road, Denver Broncos.
I'm going to say it's a dub for now.
Okay.
But depending on if it's later in the year and Drew Lock does get better, that'll scare me a bit more.
Okay, so we'll chalk that up as a dub for now, but Drew Lock is kind of simmering on the stove right now. Okay, I see you. In Las Vegas, the Las Vegas Raiders.
I also think that's a W.
Okay.
I do, yeah.
Nice. Big game right here. In New Orleans for the Saints.
That's a loss.
That's a loss? All right, first loss so far. We're 4-1. In Atlanta for the Falcons.
Here's the one about the Falcons. I think we're going to split with them, but it's going to be one of those weird things where we win the road game, but they also win the road game.
Got it.
So I'm going to dub.
Okay, so
the dub.
So 5-1. On the road at the Panthers.
Yep.
7-1. On the road, New York Giants.
That's got to be a dub.
That's got to be a dub?
But if they pull their Giants curse and they beat Brady, I absolutely won't be surprised.
So 7-1 with a potential at 6-2 or 5-3 if your boy Drew Lock ends up getting hot. All right, let's move over to the home games. 7-1 so far. You got the Packers at home. Aaron Rodgers and Brady.
I'm gonna be humble. I'm gonna say that one's a loss.
Look at you. Letting reason win out. Mm-hmm. Big fan of that one. So that is a 7-2 record. At home, you got the Chiefs.
I'm also gonna say that one's a loss.
Okay.
Just because, yeah, I just think that's gonna be our best home atmosphere, though. That game's already sold out.
Wow, really?
I know that game is gonna be our best home atmosphere, but
still, it's not gonna be enough.
Yeah, I think Patrick Mahomes, he's just gonna have too much. The Chiefs, they didn't really lose anything from that Super Bowl run.
No, they're coming back fully loaded. So
I think it's a little bit too, maybe, if we get them in the playoffs, maybe we get revenge. But
well, you would see them in the Super Bowl because you're in the NFC. Mm-hmm. So it would be a Super Bowl matchup there. So let's go ahead and chalk that up as a loss. 7-3. Vikings at home. You said that's a dub now. Now Diggs is gone.
Dub now. I don't think Kirk Cousins has enough with just Dalvin Cook and Adam Thielen. Well, and Kyle Rudolph, but I don't think that's enough.
Okay, so then that is 8-3. The Saints at home.
You know what? I'm going to give that one a W. I'm going to think our home field advantage actually takes care of that for us.
Okay, I see it. A rejuvenated Bucs fan base. I see it. 9-3. Is that 9-3? Got a L. Yeah, 9-3. Then you got your secondary team. Not many people know this, but you have a secondary team. You have an NFC and an AFC team, the LA Chargers. This is the Tyler Renfroe Bowl over here. What do you got? You got your Bucs or you got your Chargers?
I'm gonna go with the Bucs on this one, just because we haven't picked. Well, I'm gonna say they because I'm a Bucs fan right now.
Right.
I don't know what they're doing at QB. I mean, if it's Tyrod, I love me some Tyrod, but Tyrod's not going to be Tom. So yeah, I'm gonna go with the Bucs winning this one, but I'm definitely gonna try to go to that game because I love me watching my two favorite teams play.
That is definitely a Tyler Renfroe branded game right there. So what is that? 8-4 now? 9-3.
9-3.
9-3. Yeah, 9-3 because that makes 10-3. 10-3. I'm sorry.
Yeah,
10-3. And then you got the Falcons at home, which you said that's going to be an L because you guys kind of trade them off.
I know we got Brady now, but it's the NFC stuff. You always lose division game that you probably shouldn't, and you win that you really shouldn't.
Completely agree with you. That game puts you at 11-3. Or I'm sorry, 10-4. I apologize. And I completely get that. Brady actually, statistically, the team that he's worst against is the Dolphins, and that's because every year he's played us twice a year in his career, and I think he's like 500 in Miami, and it's the only team he's like less than like 640 against and stuff. So 10-4, completely get that. Panthers at home.
I think it's another win.
Yeah, they're rebuilding. They're definitely rebuilding, setting up for the long term. Matt Rule with that 7-year contract. They're definitely rebuilding in there. That is 11-4. And then the Rams at home.
That's an automatic dub. That's going to be a blowout.
Oh my, yeah, they are not looking good. They're definitely sliding, and they got no picks first round picks this year or next year. So it's looking kind of rough on that end. That puts you at 12-4.
And that's got to be because we got the 14 playoff teams this year, right? Am I right?
We got the 14 playoff teams this year. Yeah, because it's 17 games starting in 21, but it's 14 playoff teams this year. Yeah, so 7 per division.
We definitely at least get the wild card. The Saints could absolutely run the table, still win the division at like 13-3 or something, but I think 12-4 is good enough for probably the 5 seed.
Yeah, and that is going to be definitely a strong showing out there, and who knows, maybe you guys end up meeting up in the conference championship game or something. You never know how that stuff is going to work out in that sense. 12-4. Wow, if you guys go 12-4, you're going to actually elevate from Medium Income Bucs Fan to the 1% Bucs Fan. That's really what we're going to end up calling you, man. You're really going to jump some tax brackets.
The Super Bowl is in Tampa this year. The stars are aligning. I'm telling you, we're going to get a rematch with the Chiefs in Tampa in the Super Bowl in February. We're going to win it all. We're going to get our second ring.
Ladies and gentlemen, these are the bold predictions of friend of the pod, Tyler Renfroe. He is now known not as Poor Bucs Fan, as Medium Income Bucs Fan. And if you guys have that record, you will be 1% Bucs Fan. Hey, Tyler, thank you so much for coming on, man. Anything you want to plug, anything you want to promote? I hope your family's staying safe. I hope you stay safe. You are a brave warrior working at a Chick-fil-A.
Life of the essential worker.
Doing the Lord's work, quite literally. So please stay safe. Please make sure you're getting the rest and getting the PPE that you need and all that stuff. And be safe with your family and everyone in the area. Wash your hands, all that stuff. Thanks for coming on. More than happy to have you on whenever you want. You know that this pod is your pod as well. Big friend of the pod, original guy right there. So thank you so much. Middle Income Bucs Fan, Tyler Renfroe. Appreciate it, bud.
It's Tyler. I'm here with Storm Tracy, friend of the pod, first time on.
Super stoked.
Advocate of the New Orleans Saints. New Orleans Saints. Yep. You're going to be hearing a lot of that. He's here to talk about the Saints and their draft needs in this time of coronavirus, where thank God the NFL draft is still happening. Because I don't know what I would do without it. But first of all, how are you, buddy? How is the current events of the world with you?
You know, man, I'm a Saints fan, so life can't be bad. Life is great.
Okay. Yeah, I saw the other day that you were watching 500 Days of Summer.
Whoa! We don't need to be getting into that.
Hey, no, I've been there, man. Quarantine gets you in your peak sad boy hours.
Quarantine does hit different. I cannot lie about that.
Yeah.
It does hit.
Anyway, so yeah, first things first, first question, what's your assessment of your team last season, of how the Saints did?
Oh my God! All right,
well, you can take a minute to breathe if you need to.
I appreciate it. I do appreciate it. This is actually going to be my first time talking about that wild playoff run we had against, or lack thereof, a playoff run we had against Minnesota. I was watching the game with some buddies, and right after it happened, no words were spoken. I got in my car and I left. And that was the end of that. And I still, to this day, have not talked about the game with anyone. So this is my first time. So I've had a lot of time to breathe. I've had a lot of time to breathe. And it still has not been enough time. But here we are. Look, I thought the Saints... Well, no. The Saints had a historic season last season. You know, records were broken by, Mike Thomas, Drew Brees. It was just such an amazing, amazing season to be a Saints fan. And... the whole thing with the Saints right now, especially since we're going to talk about draft needs and stuff like that, is the Saints are pretty solid, all around. It's tricky to really just pin down what they need, because they lack a lot.
They're pretty stacked roster. There's no glaring hole.
Yeah, but with that being said, there's no hole yet, but contracts, and so every year it has to be this could be the last year, or else we're not, because our team's not going to be the same, and it already is changing. It's changed so much the past 2 years. Some notable major losses, I think, of Mark Ingram and players like that. And so it broke my heart, because there was a lot of uncertainty with this offseason after that. It could have been Drew Brees' last game. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of holes. We didn't know if our O-line was coming back with Pete. And which we just re-signed him to a massive deal, which was insane. Again, I mentioned Drew Brees, but all three of our quarterbacks the future was uncertain.
Okay, yeah, that's true. That's really true. You guys could have lost all three of your quarterbacks somehow.
We could have.
I mean, you did. You kept the most important one.
Taysom Hill, correct.
Oh, wow.
No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding.
So Saints had a really good season last year, record-breaking, like you said. There's the heartbreaking playoff loss. I'm not going to make you go over it too much.
I appreciate that.
Very unfortunate.
You're a good man.
I was rooting for the Saints. I like to root for Drew Brees. But kind of going off that, it is hard to pin down a hole, because there's no immediate need for this team. What are some of the biggest needs that you think that they should address?
Okay, cool. So, before a couple of weeks ago, I thought we needed another wide receiver. I thought, something that really kind of screwed us over in that playoff game against Minnesota was the reliance of Mike Thomas. And so once Minnesota was finally able to lock him up, which I also heard, I don't know if it's true, but that he was playing through an injury that game. So
it's entirely possible. Don't know. I wouldn't doubt it.
But besides that, we couldn't throw it to anyone else. We have Smith, but he's always injured. So we really don't. We have Jared Cook, who's pretty great in my opinion, especially the last half of the season last year. Mm-hmm.
But you didn't have a lot of varied targets. It's just kind of relying on Mike Thomas.
Precisely. And on top of that, Drew Brees is getting old, so, as it showed in that game, he can't really sling it all that much, way downfield as accurately as he used to. And so I'm so pumped that we got Emmanuel Sanders, because not only is he a great receiver, he's a veteran receiver, and he has a lot of experience. He's won Super Bowls. Super stoked to have him in the locker room. And then not only is it great because we're going to have an explosive player and good for team morale, defenses are going to have to choose who their top cornerbacks are going on, like Thomas or Emmanuel Sanders. And then that opens up for smaller receivers like Smith, who in my opinion could be fantastic, wide receiver threes if they're facing against, cornerback threes and stuff like that. But now that we've got a receiver, I think something that's really been lacking and something that's really the Saints have been struggling with for the past couple of years is defense. Primarily our linebackers. So I do think, like we're saying, I know the Saints have fantastic linebackers, but the issue is injuries, and the injuries, especially in the linebacker position, have really, with Kiko Alonso, he's a great player, but when he's healthy, even Anzalone,
Alex Anzalone is always injured.
Yeah, always. Literally always. But go Gators. But he's always injured. And so, we could really use a linebacker. So, in my opinion, it depends on how the dice fall. Yeah. But I'd like to keep him in Louisiana, and I'd like to get Patrick Queen.
Patrick Queen would be a really good player for you guys, and I think he'd probably be there right around where you're picking. That'd be really good. That'd be really good.
I would love Patrick Queen. I think he'd be great for. He's just an explosive force, really. He's awesome.
Yeah. Any other needs you think? Like, do you? Well, first of all, do you think that they will address linebacker in the first round? Do you think that's going to be the pick?
Absolutely. Whether it be linebacker or a cornerback, they're definitely gonna. I hope. Focus toward their secondary, their defense.
Mm-hmm. There's been talk, like speculation, mostly from fans. I haven't actually heard it from anyone from the Saints, but that the Saints might draft a quarterback to develop behind Drew Brees in the first round. Do you think that's there's any credence to that?
I too was one of these Saints fans that was demanding we draft a quarterback in the first round. It's understandable. Look, like we already mentioned, the offseason was very uncertain who our quarterback was going to be next season. Could you imagine if we didn't land any of those three and we had to rely on this draft to get a quarterback? So, but besides that, even if Hill didn't come back, which he is, we would have needed to find someone to go under Drew's wing for that last season and take over for Drew right after. I feel a lot more comfortable now with Hill coming in after Brees, and then maybe drafting a quarterback in the later rounds. Mm-hmm. But I do not think a quarterback needs to be drafted in the first round this year for the Saints, which is nice.
I think that's really good. That's really smart too, because I think the way that the Saints should, and I think that's the way that they are. I don't know if you agree with this, and it kind of seems to be the way you're thinking. But the Saints are approaching this as what do we need to do to win right now? Because your window isn't going to be open much longer.
Exactly.
Because I love Drew Brees, I love watching great quarterbacks play, but Father Time is undefeated, man.
I know it.
So besides Patrick Queen, are there any other players in this draft, just generally, that you really like and you hope find their way onto the Saints roster?
Yeah, man. You know what? I'll give you what you want. A quarterback that I would love to have. I don't think we're going to be able to get him, but God, I just think he'd be a better Taysom Hill, which is hard to say. I love you, Taysom Hill. If you ever listen to Sideline Judgment.
No, speak with confidence. Taysom Hill definitely listens to the pod. Taysom Hill, come on.
Oh, no. Yeah, Taysom. I can't wait. But I don't think I don't want him in the first round. I don't think he's a first round quarterback. But I don't think our next pick is the third round, and I don't think we'll be able to lock him up then. But Jalen Hurts would be so ideal. I would love Jalen Hurts.
He's the type of quarterback that I feel like he needs a year or two to get acclimated. But I think he'd fit a lot of what you guys do really well.
I agreed 100%. Yeah.
Maybe somebody can hack, because did you hear the NFL draft might be happening on Zoom now?
I didn't know it was Zoom. I knew it was going to be online.
I don't know exactly what it is, but it's just like I'm just hoping the Saints are going to like try and hack in and make Jalen Hurts fall all the way.
If anyone could do it, it'd be Sean Payton. It would be Sean Payton.
I would not doubt that. Man. Yeah, I think he'd fit you guys really well.
Another player I'd really like, though, kind of going off the cornerback position or like defense, focusing that, would be if he was still there in the first round. Trevon Diggs from Alabama.
He's good, yeah.
But I don't think he's going to last in that last, very ending round, the first round. So on top of that, even though we do have two solid wides right now, this whole draft class is filled with wide receivers. There's so many good receivers. So I wouldn't be surprised and I wouldn't be upset if the Saints decided to take a receiver in the third round.
Yeah, that'd probably be a good spot because, like, Sergio and I have talked about this a lot, where, like, this receiver class is really stacked.
Yeah.
And that's going to cause some teams to push it down their board because they're like, we don't really need to get him in the second because we could just get him in the fourth, and that would leave better playmakers for you guys in the third round. So that'd be good.
Absolutely.
Kind of using that, are there any trades in mind do you think the Saints might be looking at? Are they thinking of trading up in the first round, trying to get more picks, trading down? No,
I don't see the Saints really trading to get up in the draft at all. Just because of like what we're talking about, it's kind of like a win now situation we're in. So I don't think they want to trade any of their talent that they have right now.
I think that'd be smart.
Yeah.
I think because the Saints roster is so loaded as it is that I think you just need to kind of use the draft picks that you have and just pepper your roster with good players, young players.
Absolutely.
So with that in mind, we've kind of been talking about it, but like, what is you as a fan, as a Saints fan, as a New Orleans Saints advocate?
Yes.
What is your dream haul in this draft? Like if everything went right, what would happen for you? Like, who'd you get? We've kind of talked about it, but...
Look, I'm going to trust in the New Orleans Saints, no matter who they draft. And whoever they do draft, that's... I'm just excited they're going to be a Saint. But honestly, man...
You're really nailing this PR thing.
It's... Well, I already know. They're listening to it. So, honestly, Patrick Queen. I'd really love that hometown story of staying in Louisiana... And he's so good. Like, he'd be so good with our backfield. So I'd really like, especially because the NFC. Oh God, it's becoming a power.
The NFC South is becoming man.
Yeah, it's the NFC South in particular. Though it's finally coming back to. These teams are just becoming monsters. Not that he's in his prime anymore.
Drew Brees and Tom Brady face off twice a year. I know that's giving you anxiety, but like...
It's me? No.
I think it's going to be so fun. And who knows, the Falcons might just pop up and be good. They seem to like randomly be good every couple years.
Yeah.
With that in mind...
Hey, don't forget Carolina. Teddy B is going to pop off.
Oh my God, you're right.
Yeah, come on now.
With Joe Brady from LSU. Oh my God, I can't wait to watch. I really hope that coronavirus stays away from the NFL.
Don't put it. It's happening.
I need football.
We're good.
Okay, there's too many good storylines.
Yes, there are.
I'm gonna bring you down a little bit. I'm gonna make you have to. So this next question is gonna be a bit of a bummer.
Great.
Looking at the other three teams in your division.
Yeah.
What would be the nightmare draft for you as a Saints fan for each of those teams? Like, what would be the worst thing that they could do?
Look, man. That's tricky. That's a really tricky question. And I'm going to answer it in a simple way of just... okay. I'll start with Tampa Bay.
Tampa, okay. The Bucs.
Tampa Bay just got Tom Brady, who is undoubtedly... a fantastic quarterback. Towards the end of his career, yes. Would I have loved his last throw to have been a pick six? Yes, but here we are. And
you be careful what you say. You're going to find yourself back on this podcast. Sergio is going to be mad that he missed this. So, like,
yeah. Well, look, man.
No, I mean, I too agree that Tom Brady's last pass should have been a pick six. Just for
it would have been great. It would have been great. Who's to say though? Maybe it still might be. We can only hope. No, I'm kidding, Tom Brady, because I know he also listens to Sideline. So I would be petrified as a Saints fan, especially talking about our defensive needs. If we needed anything, if the Bucs decided to just go ahead and draft early on one of the great receivers, because they already have Mike Evans, they already have Chris Godwin, and if they added, another first rounder wide receiver right off the bat and had 3, oh my god! Who they still have Howard too at tight end.
Yep, they still have O.J. Howard and Cameron Brate.
Oh man, I forgot about Brate. Yeah, I mean, look, that is a scary offense. With that being said, even if they drafted like a running back too, I would just hate to see them make that offense any stronger.
Yeah.
Now, the reason I say that is because it's the exact opposite for Carolina and Atlanta.
Yeah.
I would hate to see them take off these star defensive players off the board because
Luke Kuechly just retired.
Yeah. Carolina is in such a hole right now, and I could see them going either way.
Yeah,
but I don't want them to make it any more difficult for us. I think in the NFC, defense is going to win a lot of games because the offense is just crazy all around. Matt Ryan, Julio Jones, Tom Brady, and Evans.
We don't need to go over that offense.
Yeah,
I mean,
so
I think you're right, because I think that when all of the offenses are going to be pretty good, it's about who's going to have the best defense.
Exactly.
So I think you're very right there. And same thing kind of goes for the Falcons, I imagine.
Yeah, same thing goes for the Falcons, really. I mean, they have a above average offense when they want to be.
I never understand the Falcons.
And I just. Yeah, nobody understands the Atlanta Falcons.
Yeah. So that was a bit of a bummer for you, I imagine. I'm gonna flip it on its head. As a Saints fan, what would be your dream draft scenario for the other teams in your division? If you could make so for me, the dream this season as a Jaguars fan.
You have a lot, don't you?
The dream is that the Titans signed Ryan Tannehill to all that money. They're doing the Bortles contract. It's beautiful to watch another team do it. But my dream is for the Titans to screw up their pick. What is your dream as a Saints fan for your other teams to do? What would make you just so happy at night?
It would make me happy. And this might be a hot take. This might be a disagreeable take. It would make me happy if the NFC, especially the Buccaneers, I keep referring to the Buccaneers because they're just in my opinion, the scariest team in the NFC South besides the Saints. If they traded away a lot of their talent to get more picks, which I don't see them doing, but that would be my dream scenario. Is if the Bucs were just trading away all their talent or lack thereof. But I don't see that happening.
Draft capital, baby.
Yeah, exactly. I don't really know. I don't.
No, but that'd be good for you.
That's a dream. That's definitely a dream.
Maybe one thing you can dream for, I was thinking about this, is that we were talking about Tom Brady's last pass being a pick six. Jameson's last pass in Tampa was also a pick six. And What if it's just being the Bucs quarterback? That's what you think. What if that position is just cursed?
Well, who did the Bucs? The Bucs just signed another quarterback. Who it was the Lions' backup, wasn't it? What's his name?
That's a good point. I remember seeing that. Let me look it up. This is great podcasting. I know my Tampa Bay QB. I am only going to imagine how this is going to bring up. Blaine Gabbert.
Yes. And you know what?
Jaguars fame. Blame.
So Dream is Tom Brady gets sit or is seated, and they put in Blaine. Yes, I would love that. That would be my dream.
That I kind of want to see that happen now. All right, talked a lot about the draft.
Yes, we did.
That was great. I really like that Patrick Queen for LSU pick. I think that's gonna be great. I'm hoping you guys get that. That'd be so fun to watch. Real quick, what are your thoughts, all things considered? What do you think of New Orleans Saints, assuming that we have a football season in the fall of 2020?
When we have a football season in 2020.
Fall of 2020. Just knocked on wood. But what do you think how do you think the team's going to be? What's your little preview?
Well, Tyler, I know that when the NFL season happens in 2020, the New Orleans Saints will win the Super Bowl.
Oh, boy.
I have no question about it. I am not in the slightest scared. And I want it to be here on the podcast. You can come back whenever. And just know that the Saints...
8th,
I called it. I called it.
Storm Tracy.
Saints are the champions.
New Orleans Saints advocate. Call it.
Yep.
The New Orleans Saints are winning the next Super Bowl, whenever it is.
Have I been saying that for the past 3 years? Who's to say?
Who's to say? But it doesn't matter because this year it's gonna be true. On the pod, I like it. Real quick, we're gonna play a game. I
love games. Can't wait.
I have in front of me the 2020 New Orleans Saints schedule, and I'm gonna read it off to you.
Yes.
And you're just gonna give me win-loss.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
All right. Fair warning: we have not received the actual dates for these games yet. We don't know what time they'll be, but this is all the teams you're going to be playing. You ready?
Before I even say anything, I just want to say we're going to win all of them. We're going to pull the Dolphins and just absolutely win every game and then win Super Bowl. But to make you happy for the podcast, I'll play this little game.
Just engage the listeners. I mean, I can feel the energy. Yeah. You're gonna become the only other undefeated team in NFL history, making Sergio so angry.
That would be great. Another great story for the NFL.
One thing his Dolphins have away from him. I like this. I like this timeline that we're constructing. All right, so let's go. All right, at Atlanta Falcons.
Win.
Okay. At Carolina Panthers.
Win.
Chicago Bears at Chicago Bears.
Okay.
I'm
excited to see what Bears do.
At quarterback.
Yeah, I was gonna say I'm excited to see who they end up deciding to go with. Win either way. Okay. Either quarterback.
At Denver Broncos.
Oh, win.
Okay. At Detroit Lions.
Detroit is a team that really likes to just have games that come down to a touchdown. So I think it's gonna be a good game, but I definitely win.
Okay. Schedule's really easy. I'm just realizing it.
Well, in the beginning, it's
Atlanta at home.
I think we're gonna lose. Lose.
Okay.
I think we're gonna lose it.
Okay, 5-1
Wait,
right now.
I'm gonna switch though. If we lose, it's gonna be in Atlanta, not in the
5-1. All right, Carolina Panthers at home.
Win.
Okay, 6-1. Bucks at home.
Shit. At home.
At home.
Yeah, win.
Okay, 7-1. Green Bay Packers at home.
If Aaron Rodgers is even still playing by this point of the season, I'll give us a loss. We've been playing.
7-2.
We're tired.
Minnesota Vikings at home.
Win. Oh my god, it's not even.
Game.
Yeah, it's not even going to be. It's no brainer.
Right. Oh my god, this schedule is much harder than I thought at first. Chiefs at home.
It gets harder. Yeah, here's where it starts to pick up. I'm gonna go ahead and say that we'll get a W in Mercedes-Benz. I'd love to see.
Oh wow, okay. 9-2 right now, right? Okay, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, okay. Chargers at home.
Win.
The currently Tyrod Taylor-led Chargers. Okay. So 10-2.
Not worried about
it. San Francisco 49ers at home.
God, I'm gonna give us an L for one reason.
Okay.
Wait, never mind. I'm not even gonna bring them up. Referees. I just brought them up. Screw it. Referees. Look, man.
I'm so surprised it only took this long.
I have been trying. I was gonna wait till the end to say and notice how I didn't bring up referees, but no, I have to.
It wouldn't be a true Saints part of the pod. All right, so that's 10-3.
Yeah.
Did you give that was a win or a loss? A loss.
That was a loss.
Okay, 10-3 at the Raiders in Las Vegas.
Oh, win.
All right, 12-3, and then we got at the Philadelphia Eagles.
Another win. Shout out to Steven Peters.
Oh my God! And then at the Tampa Bay Bucs.
Loss.
Okay, so I think that's a 12-4 season. Let me just get this right. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, that is a 12-4 season.
Which isn't. I wouldn't be surprised if we won 11-5. That Chiefs game we probably realistically will lose, but I'm just trying to be optimistic, especially in the dome.
This is the time to be bullish on your team.
Yeah, it's that's where we typically end up anyways.
You just said that you were going to win the Super Bowl. So.
Oh no! We don't get me wrong. Don't take back. We are winning the Super Bowl. It's just how we get there. Will we get the first bye? Will we?
All right. Well, that was fun. Thank you so much. Anything else you want to say? Real quick.
Of course. Who dat? Go Saints till I die. I can't wait. Hope you all are staying safe during this quarantine pandemic going on right now.
Everyone stay safe. Wash your hands.
Yes. And thank you so much for having me on the pod.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. We'll definitely have you back again. We're thinking of trying to get everybody back right after the draft. See how they feel about their team needs, and when football season comes around, we'll certainly be talking
That's
more.
Right.
But thank you very much,
right.
Storm Tracy.
Of course.
New Orleans Saints advocate, has the coolest first name out of probably anyone I know. But thank you very much.
Of course. Who dat?
Thank you so much to friends of the pod, Storm Tracy, and Medium Income Bucs Fan, Tyler Renfroe, for that information on the Saints and Bucs, respectively.
I gotta say, listening to Renfroe, I was very surprised, and I loved his humility. The level of humility I did not expect from him. I really didn't expect him to come in guns blazing, siege the day, babies. We're all Pirates of the Caribbean, but he was very he's very measured.
I think he set the tone, because he did mention that the Bucs are the historically worst franchise among the 4 major sports. Yeah. Which, by the way, I'm offended. 5 major sports, MLS counts now. Thank you very much. But even if you factor in MLS, I looked it up. They're still the worst team. They're still the worst team. There's a lot of parity.
It's a good thing. Maybe he's consciously only doing 4. He's I don't need it to be worse.
He's I don't need this. I don't need this in my life. So yeah, he did set the tone for that, I think, which set up for the interview.
He didn't. I expected him to come in as a Bucs fan who had forgotten who the Bucs historically are, but he didn't. He didn't, and I appreciate that. That being said, one game in.
Say that one more time.
One game into next season, he's gonna be. We're gonna lose him.
If they start the season against if they start the season against the Chargers and they just blow them out the water, it's gonna be a mess. Our group chat is going to be it was already insufferable with this man talking about giving us day by day updates as to when the Bucs uniforms are dropping. No one cared but him. No one in that group cared but Tyler Renfroe. And you know what? That's great, because that's what makes Tyler Renfroe, and we love him. I got beef with Storm. I got beef with you. All right? How dare you? Just the levels of disrespect are so through the roof. How do you even think that you can go undefeated? That's not something that can happen. It's not a possibility. The Patriots tried. Listen, if the Patriots didn't do it, you're not doing it. You're not doing it. A 74-year-old Drew Brees backed up by an overrated Taysom Hill, is not going to do it. I'm sorry. I came at your throat. I came swinging. That's what happens when you go after me and mines. All right? Jeez.
I knew you'd be like this.
Good Lord. Out here slandering the Dolphins. He said something else about the Finns, too, that I can't remember right now.
I knew the moment that you had heard that in the interview, you just start seeing red.
Oh, I was listening to it in my bedroom, and I was like, this is unacceptable. This is unacceptable. I missed the next 2 minutes of whatever it was. I was so mad. Also, how did you not know that they picked that the Bucs signed Blaine Gabbert to be Brady's backup? That's your boy.
Okay, calm down. This is just wait. He's not my boy. He's that kid that grew up in the neighborhood. That because you're a nice family, like you're just like, yeah, he can spend the day. But you don't want anything to be associated with him once he starts actually knowing what's going on.
Okay, understandable.
Like, no. Don't you dare ever say that Blaine Gabbert is my boy. All right?
All right. My apologies, Tyler. My apologies. I did like Storm's what he wants in the first round, that LSU linebacker. It's really smart.
Yeah.
That's actually a really smart idea. Really good idea. I think his draft strategy is really spot on. I don't necessarily think they need another wide receiver. I think they've proven to us that they can kind of plug some undrafted rookie in there in that third spot. But yeah, I liked his assessment and stuff. They do need to shape up that defense. There's a lot of injury prone. Kiko Alonso was a former Dolphin, and he had 2 concussions.
Well, now he's got a former Dolphin on the team. Maybe now they can go undefeated.
Oh, maybe, yeah. The spirit of Kiko Alonso is Jesus. Anyway, so there's that. There's that on that. So thank you so much to Tyler Renfroe and Storm Tracy for coming on. Always welcome.
We got 2 teams now, 2 people now that have said that their teams are going to win the Super Bowl. So
it's Lion season. So
peak Lion season.
I feel like none of those people that have said their teams were winning the Super Bowl has come out of Kansas City. So I don't really think I'm going to take them seriously.
Good point.
In that front. If you have bags that you need dropping recently, once again, we are asking you send all your bags to different organizations helping people on the front lines, helping medical people, helping first responders, helping people that are giving out food to those that don't need it. I've said this multiple times on this pod. My favorite is Feeding America, specifically, personally, Feeding South Florida. So if you can, rather than sending your bags to our email address, please send those bags to a different location, preferably one helping those on the front lines. So make sure everybody's staying safe during this quarantine and making sure that those who need the help are getting the help they deserve. So hopefully that happens there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tyler, it's time to wrap up with our flagship segment. That's Tweets We Shared. What's your favorite tweet I sent with you this week?
Not necessarily the favorite, but I would argue the most important. Armando Salguero tweeted, former NFL exec unloads on Tua, uncovers previously unreported injury, failed physical. It's a Miami, and it puts out a Miami Herald article. You shared this with me in front of the pod, Michael Phillips, and it's very interesting to me in that it kind of delves into some injuries that we didn't know about. So I want to hear, what's your kind of take on that whole thing? Because there's another tweet that was sent that I could read off by Safid Dean that kind of gets into that. But
right. Well, I think the thing with Armando's a very, very, very well-respected journalist in South Florida. He's been the Dolphins beat writer for the Miami Herald for at least a decade now. And for the most part, the things that he says are pretty spot on. He's also the one that reported that the Dolphins were interested in trading up for the number 1 pick for Joe Burrow, and all indications seem that he was right on that one. If you follow him on Twitter, he won't let you forget that, but he definitely was right on that one. And so I think what he's saying, can go 2 ways. And it's typical of 2 weeks before the draft, because as of today, we are literally 2 weeks away from the draft.
Oh my God.
I know. It can go 2 ways. This is a genuine concern, and Tua has the potential to drop very a la Brady Quinn did all those years ago, and drop in the way Aaron Rodgers did, drop in the way Tim Tebow did. Granted, none of those players, with the exception of Rodgers, kind of panned out, but that kind of drop. Or this is the greatest smoke screen of all time. It can go both ways.
I like this.
So here's my thing. We've known about Tua's injuries. We know after a certain point, you already have the label of injury prone. What's another wrist injury that's already been healed, right? If it's true that he broke his wrist or messed up his wrist at the beginning of a spring camp and they just kind of fixed it and he was good to go and they didn't release it because why would you release that if you're Alabama?
Hasn't bothered him, hasn't mattered since.
Clearly hasn't bothered him. And this is supposedly the year that they won the national title, so it's the year that he didn't play. So theoretically, he got to heal up all the way to the natty and he ended up flicking the wrist anyway. So it doesn't matter at that point. So there's that. I feel like at this point, teams have either made up their minds on Tua or they haven't made up their mind, or they've made their minds up on Tua, and it's either they like him and they're willing to take the risk, or they don't. They like him and they don't think it's worth the risk. Yeah. I hope my Dolphins think it's worth the risk, but I think all the mock drafts that we've done, all the news that we've read, all the discussions we've had, both on and off of this, on the air and off of the air on this podcast, I've kind of come to the point where, you know what? Whatever happens with the Fins. It's not gonna be the end of the world for me. I will be sad because I do still truly believe that Tua is the best quarterback in this draft. But I mean, it is what it is. You know, if we trade up for Joe Burrow, I won't be mad. If we sit at 5 and take Tua, I won't be mad. If we pass on a quarterback at 5 overall and just take one of those offensive tackles, I won't be mad. I'll actually be happier with that, because it gives us flexibility for the quarterback position later on, but that's another story. If we take Herbert, I'll be a little disappointed, but I'll definitely give the organization the benefit of the doubt.
You'll be mad.
Oh, I will in the moment, especially because I'll be, by the time we pick 5, I'll be a couple Trulies in. Maybe I pour myself a glass of scotch. Who knows? So there's that. That's how I feel about that situation.
I don't think this report is going to really matter in the long run, in the sense that, like, I just don't see Tua falling out of the top 10, because if he gets to the Dolphins and they pass on him to take anybody else, then you're leaving. If they take Herbert, the Chargers are not going to pass up on him.
Yeah, I don't think he gets past 6, because it's the Dolphins at 5, unless someone trades up into the 3 spot. Which
the New England Patriots would trade Stephon Gilmore to the Detroit Lions if a cornerback need, just to give them spots so they can get to a Tagovailoa.
No, they won't.
You mean that?
They won't do that. They will not do that.
Are you sure?
I'm positive they won't trade up to 3. I'm positive they won't trade up to pick 3. If Tua slips, there's another discussion. And you know what? We can just go into the tweet you sent me, because it's by John Ledyard, and it is quoting a Barry Jackson tweet, who is the Dolphins beat writer for the Sun-Sentinel. Miami Herald is Miami-Dade County. Sun-Sentinel is Broward County. He's been there for over a decade as well. Love him. Great follow. He says, spoke to 2 more NFL personnel people who have been in the league a long time with no horse in this race. Very important. Who insist Tua in the top 10 is simply too risky. Whether Fins ultimately believe it or not, the notion of giving up valuable assets to trade up for Tua seems increasingly illogical. And then I love that someone asked him, was this Tannenbaum? And he goes, no, it wasn't Tannenbaum, which is a great clarification, because Tannenbaum ruined my franchise and we're not going to talk about him anymore. The tweet that you sent me that I'm referring to now is a John Ledyard tweet. He quotes that Barry Jackson tweet, and he says, Dolphins pass on Tua, Patriots trade up for him in the teens, 20 more years of hell for the AFC East. Now, that is a tweet that will make me jump off of my second-floor story apartment and ultimately question if I want to watch football ever again.
Yikes!
Like that is literally my worst-case scenario.
Yeah.
If he ends up in my division,
but not on your team,
but not on the Dolphins, it won't.
And there's
be the
only
Bills.
one other team that he would go to, because the Jets and the Bills still have both have quarterbacks.
Yeah, exactly.
So, there's a small part of me. I love you, but there's a small part of me that, in the moment, would think it's absolutely hilarious.
And I get that.
And then I get mad because my team is also in the AFC.
Well, if he ends up within the Chargers, he's in the conference anyway. That's my thing. Yeah, that's my thing. That this whole Tua saga. At this point, we've talked about it to death. Let's just wait the 2 weeks and see what happens.
Yeah,
I don't know what to believe at this point.
You know what we haven't talked about yet?
What?
You talked about the Bucs' new uniforms. What about the Falcons' new uniforms? Oh. Sergio just lifted up a trash can.
Basura. They're bad. The only one I like is the all blacks that don't say ATL on them. Now, I will give them this. I saw something on Twitter that said that in 2021, the league might soften up their one helmet rule, where you can only wear one helmet throughout the season. The reason the Dolphins look like they have different helmets when we wear our throwbacks is because we wear white helmets. We just change the stickers, and that's fine. The issue is you can't change the color or the actual. You can only wear one helmet for the season.
Seems really dumb, but
it does seem dumb. But it's the NFL. So, so if the Falcons end up with the red helmets that they wore in the 80s and 90s, then that might be then it pairs really well with the uniforms they release. So as of right now, trash, with the potential to be really nice.
They could be recycled.
They could be recycled. Yes. But those red helmets really have to come in for them to really pull it off.
So the thing that I most want to see in action is the red that gradients into black. One, because, first of all, did nobody, and I know the joke that's going to come with this, but did nobody watch the Jaguars when they had their old uniforms with the gradient helmets?
We
were good at least 1 year. They had to. They looked terrible. Like
they looked atrocious?
Yeah, I mean, if for nothing else, we were in the AFC Championship game, and what I always wanted, and we always joked about in Jacksonville, is that like when they were getting new uniforms, it's like you only just need to change the helmet, just make the helmet all black, that's all we ask, and wear the teal more often. You don't need to do anything else,
right? And
first of all, the Bucs' new uniforms just look like the Falcons' old uniforms,
exactly,
and
Listen, the real winner in this uniform wars is the Carolina Panthers Twitter account. That's the real winner. That's the real winner in all of this. They're in the division, and they're out here just trolling. They did the whole what was that open the door challenge or whatever, where they show a clip and then they open the door and it's right there, which is a really cool thing on Twitter. But they did it and they opened the door and it's Adam Sandler from The Longest Yard, which I don't know if they remember that, but Adam Sandler's team wins, so be careful, Panthers.
I saw a response to that by an Atlanta fan that's just like, I can literally not remember the last time the Panthers beat the Falcons.
Oh, man. You'll love to see it. Tyler, there are 2 weeks left until the NFL draft, which means next Thursday is our final pre-draft episode. Next week is our final one. We are wrapping this up with a mock draft 3.0. And I think because it's the ending, we need to bring on a special guest, Tyler. What do you think?
I would agree.
We are going to bring on an OG friend of the pod.
Ooh, yeah.
You'll have to listen to see who it is next week. But we are bringing them on, and we're doing a mock draft. We are going every 3 picks. So we will see exactly how things play out. And then the week after that is the draft. So that is our next episode. After that, Tyler and I will be doing a 20-minute, 30-minute max first round reaction pod that we'll release after the first round, probably on that Friday. And then that coming Sunday and Monday, we will have a draft review before getting into our regularly scheduled weekly content. So you got a couple episodes coming up your way. You got a mock draft 3.0 with an OG special guest. You have a first round reaction. Tune into that one because Sergio will not be 100% sober on that episode. So we'll see how it goes.
I can't wait.
In a good or a bad way, so we'll see. And then after that, you got a full entire NFL draft review episode. So a lot of draft coverage coming up. Draft is the second best thing we do all year as opposed to our week in, week out college football coverage. But it's that time of year. Thankfully, I brought it to my parents' attention. I was like, hey, I just want to let you know, 2 weeks from today is the draft. If I could just have the living room, I want to order food. And they were like, you literally told us this yesterday. You don't need to tell us again. I was like, sorry, I'm just really excited. My mom was like, you're excited, right? I'm like, yeah, it's like the one sports thing we have right now. So
please.
It
may be a Zoom broadcast, but it'll be the most watched Zoom broadcast of all time.
Oh, it definitely will. So tune in for all that information. Tyler, anything else you want to talk about on this pod before we wrap it up?
So we still got, we got to talk about Tiger King. No more sports. We had no more sports. But before we talk about Tiger King, first friend of the pod, Storm Tracy, I mentioned that he had been watching 500 Days of Summer. And I think you said that you had a story you wanted to tell?
Yeah, so my girlfriend right now, Alexa, she is from the same area. We grew up in the same area in South Florida in Broward. We met in the 9th grade through a mutual middle school friend, and we hung out one time. We met at that place, and we were like, hey, let's hang out, whatever. I went over her house, and we watched 500 Days of Summer, and that is my, association with that movie. And so every time I think of 500 Days of Summer, I think of Alexa, and so... yeah, that's my story. It's kind of romantic. It's more of it's more a lovey-dovey story. It's not a funny story.
Aww.
It's actually nice. Yeah,
I was not expecting that. That's awesome.
That's a
We're
sad
gonna
movie.
juxtapose that immediately with Tiger King.
Yeah. But let's get into the real things that we want to talk about, and that's Tiger King.
So you finished it.
I finished Tiger King. When Carol has that spoiler alerts, by the way.
First of all, we're done with the sports.
Done with sports.
And if you haven't watched all of Tiger King,
the next 2 minutes.
You have 5 seconds.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So there's that one scene, and I forgot which episode it was. There's 7 in scene episode 5 or 6 or something.
Yeah.
And where she's like, if I wanted to get him eaten by the tigers, I would have, and then proceeds to lay out the exact things that she would have done, and it's like, yo,
you cover him in sardine oil, and you're like, why would you know that?
Carol, why would you know this? How do you know that? Carol Baskin did it. Number 1, Carol Baskin did it. Number 2, Buddy in Las Vegas, who ended up buying the zoo. What's his name?
Jeff Lowe.
Jeff Lowe. This man is wild.
Yeah.
There was this entire federal underground investigation on these people. I do not get this. The
only thing that I have to say about Jeff is that I think he's an evil man. But he is evil genius.
It's such chaotic evil. But it's so brilliant.
The whole time when he's going through all of his Las Vegas things, then we take these cubs and we get a bus, and it's like, oh, come on the bus, and we will let you pet a cub, and I'm just like, this is so wrong, but oh my god, you'd make so much money off of this.
He's banking. And then there's the whole storyline of what the show is actually the main plot of the story, which is Joe Exotic putting out a hit for Carol Baskin, and oh my god, it was just wild. And the thing is that there's so many things that happen that are not coming to my brain right now, because after any crazy thing happens, the next thing is just as crazy, that makes you realize, oh my god, it's insane.
The thing that I was waiting for you to come across, I thought it was hilarious, I thought it blew my mind, is when they reveal that both of Joe's husbands are straight.
Oh my gosh, yes! Oh, and that's the
that
thing.
Rocked my brain.
They're both straight, and the guy accidentally shot his head off.
Yeah,
I completely that, and then they have the security footage of the guy witnessing it happen, and he just is in shock, and for 15 seconds he's just in shock before he's like, oh my god, I gotta go say something.
Yeah, it was absolutely insane.
It was.
This show is all sorts of insane
on so many levels. And
last thing,
yeah,
go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Last thing that I'll say is I texted this to you. And it's because me and my roommate found this out. It's just a testament to how crazy this whole story is. Because the information I'm about to give you, good people, is not in the documentary. So when the studio burns down at Joe Exotic's Animal Zoo.
Yes.
All the footage is gone and everything. And it's right next to the alligator enclosure. And all the gators burn and die. And that's very tragic. Go Gators! We never,
especially for us.
So that would hurt me.
That hit home.
It's you know what is not said in the documentary? Who those gators belong to. The gators used to belong to Michael Jackson. And that's just never mentioned.
It's because in the scope of the entire show, it's not crazy enough. I can't, man. This show is it's incredible. It's incredible. I don't have any other way to put it.
And there's
Watch
not
the show.
a single good person in it. Just to let you know,
there's no winners in this show.
Yeah,
everyone loses. It's It's insane.
We certainly don't, especially me. Like me, I used to volunteer at the Jacksonville Zoo, and there are a lot of people out there at zoos that deeply care for the animals that they take care of. And this just the show is kind of a testament of how, because you see footage of Joe Exotic back when he was much younger, of him actually caring for and
Well, they have the whole thing at the end of the show where he basically says, he's like, I lost my way. I started this because I actually care about these animals. And I ended up letting everything get to my head, and I didn't end up caring about them. And at the end, he releases there's the whole thing with his 2 monkeys, where he releases them to a zoo that has a huge cage for them, and they look at each other, and they end up hugging each other for the first time. And he's crying on the camera, and he's like, I deprived them of that. I didn't allow for them to have that natural experience, and I feel bad about that. And I was like, wow, Joe. Wow.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you're in jail for murder for hire.
Trying to murder somebody. So
incredible.
This show's just wild.
It was
watch it if you can stomach it.
Exactly.
It's whenever you think it gets crazy, it's not done.
It's not even close to done. No.
Yeah.
And it's just it's a very good show because it's a very well done documentary, but it's wild in its sense. So.
Yeah.
So that's our Tiger King update. Thanks for reminding me on that. I forgot we were going to talk about that.
I want to let you get away with that.
Oh my gosh.
I wanted to talk about it too.
Do you have a recommendation for another show? After?
Ooh, that's good.
What are you watching right now?
What am I watching right now? I'm just starting. I think it's on Amazon. The Boys, which is a dark take on superheroes as a genre, as if
yes.
Carl Urban's in it. It's about
I've heard
superheroes let the fame get to their heads.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm just starting that. So that's really interesting so far. But anything you're watching?
So I'm finishing up Ozark season 3, and then after that I'm going to watch The English Game on Netflix, which is a drama based on how soccer started in the 1800s in England. And then I just finished, after I watched Tiger King, I watched the Sunderland Till I Die documentary, which, if you're into sports documentaries, very well done. Should definitely watch it. It's a series. There's 2 seasons. The first season's 8 or 9 episodes. Second season is only 6, and they essentially just kind of take over different, talk about their seasons at hand. Very dramatic. It's a big historical club that ends up being in the 3rd division of England, and they're trying to, new ownership, get it out of their hands. Really well done. Great storytelling. Highly recommend it. So, on that point.
Yeah. There's a lot of good stuff out there right now.
Yep.
Yep. We'll be giving more. I'm sure we'll be giving more Netflix recommendations in the future.
I think we'll ask our surprise guest next week some Netflix recommendations from that person. I think we'll be asking that person for some recs for sure. All right, Tyler. This has been another episode of Sideline Judgment. My name is Sergio.
My name is Tyler.
And we are not biased, but wash your hands and stay 6 feet apart from each other.
Yep. One full alligator.
One full Go Gators.